G'day everyone, Kate Fantanell or Lady Liberty Australia here with an important legal action update for everyone who has been following my fight in Western Australia against the new gun laws. Now, I just want to go back and I promised from the start I would be transparent with people. I would not have been able to launch legal action without the support of the people. I was not supported by any shooting organization with this fight. I asked shooting organizations around the country, including Western Australia, to support this fight, but everyone was focused on the state election and a political solution that never eventuated. When I spoke to my legal team back in January, I had to make that choice. Would I put myself in a position, a very public position, by taking on this case, by crowdfunding to get something from the justice side of town to see if we could fight this? That was a risk for me personally and professionally. I made the decision to take on the case and be the client for the challenge against WA's gun laws because no one else was doing it. I had already, and I want to make this very clear, I was already in the process of applying for my work visa here in the United States of America, where I now live, because I had been offered an amazing opportunity to work with a leader in the liberty community over here. He has been someone who's advanced liberty. He has ran to be a presidential candidate over here, and he has supported my work in Australia far more than anyone in the liberty community there has ever supported me. So, when I got the call from my legal team, and after I had spoken to multiple lawyers about the validity of this case, if it was worth doing, and if it was worth my risk personally and professionally, I had to sit back and make that choice. Would I just run away from the fight because I already had this opportunity lined up in the United States? Could I just follow my husband around while he worked across Australia at various mine sites? I did not need to do this. I did not need to do this. As everyone knows, I no longer live in Western Australia. I moved from Perth in March last year to work for the Shooters Union in Queensland as part of the Katter Australian Party state election campaign. Now, I have legal threats about what I can say happened up there to me, but it was the worst case of political knifing and backstabbing I have ever experienced. And that comes from years working with the now Libertarian Party. So I've seen quite a bit in my time. I decided, after talking to my father, who is a gun owner and is the reason that I do what I do, that I would take on the high profile sensitive case for my community back in Western Australia. Again, I did not have to do that. I could have run away. I had a job lined up. I had a new husband who was working. I had my family support while I was still living on the road in Australia. I did not have to do this. I decided to take it on because I do not like injustice against my community. And despite the shooting and hunting community being quite a toxic place, I'll have to say sometimes, especially on Facebook, I decided to stand up for those who have not had a voice, who have been let down time and time again by our shooting organizations and the leaders in that space, and to show people that an individual with the balls, with the experience, and with the knowledge of the issue can achieve far more than working in corrupt organizations that seem to always benefit when there is gun law reform. They always seem to come out on top. So I made that decision back in January to go ahead with the legal action challenge and fundraiser. I put myself and my new husband in a position where if we did not raise enough money, we would be liable for the expenses because we'd signed a contract saying we would go ahead with getting the letter of opinion from the King's Council. That's the position I put myself in for you, the people. Now, I know this week there has been more hit pieces written about me. And the source of these wild accusations have come from one person. One person, again, is the one pushing this message, a sock puppet for those in other positions who don't want to challenge me to my face. I would prefer a face-to-face conversation, but that's not how these people roll. I have received messages from my friends in the shooting and hunting community, particularly those who have a platform with podcasting, saying that there is rumors going around that I have run away to the USA with all the legal action money, and that was my intention from the start. I did not run away to the USA with all the legal action money. As my lawyers have written to my new boss, yes, my new boss in America this week, to justify to him and explain to him, no, this is what she is paying for. This is what she has paid so far. This is how much is in her account. This is what we are preparing for next. I have been put in a position by the corporate press in Western Australia and other corrupt media organizations who have an agenda to push because they do not like me personally and they do not like anyone who achieves more than they achieve with less money, less resources, and the fact that I am one individual who has taken on this fight only with the support of the people and only with the support of the legal team who put their hands up when other firms turned us away. Yes, other law firms did not want to touch this case in Western Australia. This is the level of sensitivity involved when you stand up for gun rights in Australia. Now, I'm no victim to being persecuted and slandered by the corporate press and by my friends in the shooting organisation. When I ran for the Senate in 2022 in Western Australia for Senator David Leyonhjelm's former party, I ran purely on a gun rights campaign. I am one of the very few, if any, political candidates to put her picture on a campaign poster holding firearms in Australia in 2022. I was slandered by the corporate press and the same protagonist, that same journalist who seems to have a weird obsession with me, but that's fine. I know I'm an entertaining character. The same thing happened to me in 2022 after my gun rights campaign. And during that campaign, I was ignored by all the shooting organizations. I asked them to help me. I was the only candidate who was running to defend their organizations, the people's rights. Give gun owners a fair go was my simple message. And I was ignored and turned away. So I did it by myself and I achieved quite a good vote result with very limited resources. Following that campaign, I could not get a professional job anywhere in Australia, let alone Perth, where I was living at the time. I was offered very high paying jobs, particularly in the resources sector. I have a background in mining and energy too, also in government jobs. And the condition for any of those jobs, which would make sure I had a roof over my head and money to buy food, came with the stipulation that I must delete all my social media and I can no longer be an activist for gun owners. That was a condition for any job in a professional sense in Australia after my Senate campaign. I never walked away from this fight, and I never have. I went to the trenches, into the trenches, I called it. I spent a year working as a makeup artist on minimum wage, barely surviving in Perth in Western Australia, and continuing my advocacy and activism every night, every weekend. I was out in the community, out talking to people, writing submissions to the gun law reform process, trying to advise the shooting organisations to please, for the love of God, do not rely on a political solution. You cannot rely on a purely political solution for this. When are we getting the lawyers involved? When are we doing the public relations campaign about who we really are as a community? All of that was ignored. I have been exiled by my own community, and that's exactly what happened to me in Queensland. Homeless, unemployed, on the other side of the country with nowhere to go. This is what they have done to me. I just want people to understand what I have gone through and suffered for my people and my community. And the reason that I keep going, the only reason I keep going is because of the injustice I remember my dad going through in 1996. That is the one thing that keeps my passion going, despite the fact that this week this week, when I was on the phone to my lawyers very late at night, there is a time difference here, we were talking about the next steps. So let me go back. Following the election, I met with the lawyers, with the King's Counsel, who was tasked with writing a comprehensive letter of opinion about areas of the law that could be put before a judge that sat a court case. We were looking at that after the election. A few weeks after that, I met with them again, and the advice was we need to send an urgent legal letter to the police commissioner, CCing the police minister, saying, we are looking at challenging this. And the first thing that we have an issue with is the confiscation without compensation of push button release firearms and the lever action release firearms above 5 rounds. That was the urgent issue that my KC came back to me after our initial meeting. And he went away and sent that letter with the support of my legal team. That was the first cab off the rank. I then encouraged everyone to write to the police minister, which I did as well publicly. That put together, we saw a few days later the police minister come out and publicly apologise to us, reopen the compensation scheme, including for push button release and lever actions, which were due to all be handed back and destroyed on the 31st of March, by the way. We bought you 2 weeks for the people like this young man that I still remember reading his email that he bought a push button release firearm to help his dad on the farm because he just turned 18. He's the next generation who will own that property, ready to help, only to be told, no, you have to hand that firearm in without any compensation. So those are the people that I was thinking of when my legal team said we had that win. Now, following that, I know it's not enough. I'm not happy. I wasn't happy with the compensation that was offered at the start. And that's when I started asking the lawyers. After 1996, the federal government had to pay us fair value for our firearms. Some people even got more than the market value at the time. Most of us will remember. My question to the legal side of town was, can the state confiscate private property without paying any compensation at all, which is what we were looking at for those 2 firearm types I mentioned before? Or can they do it and offer minuscule compensation? That's just not enough. It's just not enough. Now, this is something that, yes, we have the compensation scheme opened till January next year. We have bought you time to see if you can sell it on the market, time to see if you can. That will be enough for you in order to help you keep more guns. That is what we have achieved so far with the legal action challenge. Now, following that, I said to my legal team, they gave me the verbal letter of opinion in that meeting when we discussed the priority was that urgent legal letter. They gave me the verbal letter of opinion. I turned to them and I said, I want this in writing. This is what I have promised the people. This is what we have paid for. So because of the timeline and the deadline of the 31st of March to reopen that compensation scheme, my legal team have gone away now to work on the written letter of opinion. During that time, I have been bombarded, inundated with emails from people raising new issues because the law is now in effect. We are all on transitional licenses too, so this also puts us in another grey area position where the laws, yes, they have come into effect, but as we are transitioning on licenses, at what point can we challenge the laws? This is something my legal team is working on now. Now, some of the issues I have sent to them to look at, the digital ID, a huge one. I have heard you and I have said to my legal team, we do not want people not being able to choose if they can or can't have a digital ID. That is not how the federal government operates. Why are they treating us differently in Western Australia? That's one thing that they're looking at. The storage requirements, most people still have not been able to buy the new safes because there is a shortage of those across Australia. These are the things that I am passing on to my legal team. Now, because of that, I have delayed the process because it's been a lot. I have overloaded them and they are still working through the next steps. Now, when the next steps are ready to go and I am having a meeting, I was on the phone to my lawyers on Monday night when that story came out about me accusing me of running away to the USA with illegal action money. And my lawyers, I said to him, "Do you see? This is the risk that I put myself in. I am in a new job here in the United States of America. I am working this week. This is why I'm only doing this video now. I have been working for my new boss and my new company, Blood of Tyrants. I'm sure some of you would have seen the work I've been doing there already. And to see stories come out accusing me of running to the USA for a job opportunity when I could not get a professional job in Australia. So the alternative to that is I can only stay and live on the road in Australia without any professional job prospects. There is no way that I'm allowed to go anywhere else in the world where I am valued, where I am respected, where I can advance liberty with people here who respect me and value my work and commitment to the cause. You are saying that the only option I have is to stay in Australia, living on the road, staying with friends and family to make you feel better. What if it was my husband, Mr. Liberty, who had the visa and I followed him here? Would the story change? Is it only acceptable in the eyes of the public and the men sitting in their ivory towers looking down at me on the battlefield who's actually trying to achieve something for the people and not there representing their organizations in their own bank check? Is it okay if I have my own life as well and achieve things that I want to achieve? There is only so much I could do while living on the road in Australia, exiled by the shooting organizations, exiled by the political parties. That is what they wanted. After what happened to me in Queensland, I genuinely did not know if I would survive that. I did not know if I would make it out of Townsville alive. I had nowhere to go. I didn't have very much money in the bank. I was waiting on payment for my work. I had no car because I sold it in Perth under the promise of we'll buy you a car in Queensland for your work. This is what happened to me. Sometimes I genuinely think, are they trying to silence me to the point where I'm not around anymore to fight? And I say to those people who seem to be obsessed. Meanwhile, in Western Australia, people are losing their guns. We are staring down the barrel of the worst confiscation since 1996. And there are people in shooting organizations who seem to be obsessed with my life and criticizing someone who has done nothing except try to protect my own community to my own detriment, to the detriment of my health, to the detriment of my professional career, to the detriment of my personal life. I am finally in a position where I can do more for everyone because I have a roof over my head. I have an employer who values me and is paying me good money to do the work that he knows that I can do and I have already delivered. I have Mr. Liberty here with me who's on full working rights and is already working in a country where we align with the values. So I say to people, I know we have been let down and hoodwinked by our shooting organizations time and time and time again when they are the only ones who seem to benefit. This legal action case has done nothing to benefit me. I have been smeared in the media. I have had to get my lawyers to send my new boss a letter to counter what has been said in the media about me. And no, I didn't get a right or reply either, as usual. They wouldn't listen to me anyway. So I'm saying to you, I'm sorry I'm not in Australia. I miss it every day. I miss Easter with my family. I'm missing my dad's birthday. I am here because there is no way I can succeed in Australia anymore because the work that I value and that I can bring to the table is not wanted by those who rule the roost there. So I've come to the United States. It's been hard. I'm exhausted. When that story came out and I was on the phone to my legal team, I said to them, I said, this is what risk I have put myself in. This is risking my visa now. And why did I do it? And the reason why I did it, and I have been reminding myself that every day, is because I do not want to see unjust gun laws continue to get pushed out by our governments in Australia. There has to be a point where we say, no, enough is enough. These laws will not help public safety. They are a blatant attack on the legal firearm community who have done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. And we are nearing the anniversary of 1996, and I'll have things to say about that too. So I want to say to the people, this is the timeline with legal action. I gave my lawyers a rocket on Monday on the phone because I do not like the delays. I understand that I am responsible for causing them because there has just been so much that has come from you, the people, so much that they have needed to look at, in addition to what I flagged with them at the beginning. The scope of work on these cases is a lot. And we are a small team and we have other things that we are doing too. So the timeline for the next update on legal action, where I will have the written letter of opinion, a clear plan on class actions that we might want to launch. Other challenges, my lawyer has already said he's seen 2 clients who are looking at firearm challenges. Things are happening. I will have that advice next week, Thursday, WA time. I have a meeting with my lawyers on the following Monday, and then I will be able to sit down and read out that advice. I have also said to my lawyers, you need to come on my show because people are asking me questions that I am not a lawyer. I cannot give legal advice. I have to be very careful with my email responses to you. And I have been doing them while traveling, while being on the road, and while doing my new job. But it has gotten to the point now that this week, with the latest attacks on me and people smearing my name after all that I've done, that I've had to say to my lawyers, this is your territory now. Let's sit down. Let's get the plan. I'm ready to go. You're the ones holding all this money for us. This is what it's been raised for. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't want it. If I could wipe my hands and hand it purely over to them, I would. But you need somebody who has the expertise, the knowledge, and the commitment to see this through. So I will continue working with the legal team. I will continue pushing my KC and my legal team to get results. Yes, we had one win. We are grateful. I am grateful for that. If we hadn't raised that money, if I hadn't gone ahead with the legal action, what position would we have been in after the election? I shudder to think the number of people who were so hurt by the election if we did not have some hope and something in the pipeline. We have a lot more in the pipeline. As soon as I have the plan for what we can do next, while there are already cases being prepared, I will be going live. I will be sharing it with you. So I'm sorry that it's taken me this long to get this response out. As I said, yes, I have moved to the United States of America for employment opportunities because there was none for me in Australia. And if I continued living on the road and living in those precarious circumstances that I have been living in since I was made homeless and unemployed in Queensland, I would not be here today. I would not last. And I think the majority of people, not everyone, I think the majority of people will be happy that I am still here, that I am in the best position now that I have been in for years to advance this cause. And yes, being in America is also helpful. I have already made connections with the shooting organizations here. I'm already working on other plans separately to the legal action on how we can help the Australian gun owners. That is what I have been doing since I have been here the last week. So, again, I apologize for getting a bit emotional. I'm tired. It's at the point now where I am honestly said, why did I do this? Why did I do this? As I said, I have my own life to live. I have my new husband. I have a new job, new employment. I am in a different country. That's a reflection of Australia. There is no way that I could ever own a house in that country. There is no way that I will ever give up my free speech and my political values and opinions because of a job. I unsubscribed from that society. I didn't want to. As I said, my grandfather was an immigrant from Italy after the fascists in World War II. And I've had to leave my own country because there is no hope for me to succeed there and have the life that I want for myself and my family. This is no small deal. This is not me running away, because if I could have stayed in WA, I would have in a heartbeat. That is not the position that I am in because of what I have done for shooters in Australia. Again, I apologize for getting upset and emotional, but I will keep fighting the legal action fight from here. As I said, I've got meetings scheduled with my legal team. As soon as I get this written letter of opinion, I will be broadcasting it so everyone knows where we stand. And to those who want to keep taking shots at me and want to bury me, I say, do you not have anything better to do? WA is staring down the worst, most tyrannical gun laws in the world. And the only thing you seem to be doing is following my life a little too closely and a little too creepily for my liking. Please leave me alone and let me do my work. Thank you to everyone who has supported this campaign, this battle. It's a 4-year battle as well. That's also something that my lawyers said to say. These laws are in effect now. We're in the transitional period. We have to get everything in a row. It takes a lot of time, a lot of work. I thank my legal team again, especially my King's Counsel, who has been under the pump with this high-profile case. I have to say, other people have taken risks as well in this mission. So I thank you to everyone for your support. And I'll be back as soon as I can with a legal action plan for what we do next. Thank you. I'm Kate Fantanell, Lady Liberty, Australia.